Hi, my name is Gunnar Hansen. I am a just graduated Stanford student who spent 4 years here in the Jazz Combos program. And welcome to the more largely equipment slash general jazz combos video. You might have seen the original version of this video. That was the drum video, and it had a bunch of little instructional things on drums, and we decided we're gonna expand it out all the way. So there's hopefully gonna be a section in here for every question you could possibly want to ask.
How do I use the hi-hat in full? How do I use the cymbal stands in full? How do I know I'm putting the floor tom legs on the right way? How do I clip the bass drum?
Every question you could have, hopefully it will be contained in a relevant category below, with timestamps in the description. Just telling you what to do. So let's get to it. Okay. First thing to do before we grab any of the gear is we're gonna go ahead and get this room ready for jazz combos. So we're gonna go ahead and move everything out of the way. And as you can see here, everything's all nice in the corner. Again, you don't have to move it so far if you don't think you'll be using all of this lovely space. But now that that's out of the way, I think our first order of business is probably going to be, do we say best for last? Best, I'm talking about drums, of course. Sorry. Let's do drums first. Ooh. Hi here, Gunnar again. These are the beautiful, lovely equipment lockers that you will be very familiar with. In particular, we have locker 125, locker 126, lockers 128 and 130. 126 and 130 are what we're going to be looking at here first and gathering. So let's just worry about those. I actually fibbed. For the purposes of demonstration, although you should not be getting the cart out every time you have a rehearsal, you can just move the equipment from room to room. But if you are ever tasked with doing a house band performance or setting up for end of quarter concerts, you might be tasked with either load in or load out. And if you're going to be doing those things, you're going to need what's in here. The way that we activate these locks is same as anything. You press in once you've entered the number, and then they will release. Same thing here, really quickly. You change the code around. You go hooking through the right side so that the numbers are upright. And all you gotta do is press in. So making sure that you are hooking around this thing and you're hooking around the handle as well. Because if you don't hook around the handle, then all you're doing is giving somebody a handle to open the door and steal stuff. Speaking of stealing, or rather misplacing, here is the equipment that's supposed to be in here. As you can see, we have this beautiful amp is still present. However, the cart has gotten much smaller. This is not because the cart shrunk, but because we got an extra cart. And right now, we don't have access to the other one because it was left at a place after a gig, and now it's the summer and it's in the house and we can't get to it. So don't not bring gear back. It's not cool. But we're gonna talk about this lovely little cart in lieu, and then I guess you're gonna have to figure out the other one, but the same principles apply. With that in mind, let's talk about the gear. But not without forgetting to lock our door lock. Don't do that either. Make sure the door hinges out, hinges in to lock around this door so it couldn't open regardless, and then once you're all secure, change the code, lock it in. Pull up and out, and then pull up and out. That's all you gotta do. Putting it away is a little bit trickier. Here we see there's a bottom in the middle where you press it, and it falls. Fantastic, good news. Let's put down this side first. And then this side. No. Since they've designed these things to be as compact as possible, there are some requirements. And one of the requirements is that the side with the dumb wheels must go down first because this one then stacks on top of it. Oh, and see, there was even another issue in there. I didn't have this thing fully collapsed, so it didn't go all the way down, which had meant this one is not flush either. So you have to again make sure that this is fully down and around, and then this one's stacked, and you see it's nice and flat from the top. It seems niche, and it seems like tiny little stuff that, why is he spending so long talking about this? You gotta treat your gear right, and beyond that, it's communal equipment, so just like, do the right thing. But we need to use this thing anyway. So, let's get to it. The first thing of importance to note is the QR codes in the inside of the locker. These are going to contain photos of how the gear should be placed in at a given time. Now is not a good example because there's a different drum set in here, but we just got this thing. You gotta give us time to catch up, okay? It'll be fixed for you guys. But the QR codes up here are also going to be very important. In the past, we've done sort of a check-in and check-out system, but the most important thing that we're gonna be looking for here is the items missing a damaged QR code for you to report things whether they're missing or damaged. This is really, really important for you guys to do because the sooner we know that things are either missing or damaged, if you're reporting it, then we know where the trail stops and the time frame that it would have had to occur between. It also just, keeps you from being liable. If you don't report something as missing or damaged, then we won't know whether or not you lost it and are trying to cover it up. Just sort of keep in touch with this, make sure you're watching this, and make sure you're reporting everything as it needs to be, and make sure you're following the guidelines of how to be putting the drums away. But yeah, in the meantime though, let's load this trunk. Good rule of thumb is that you probably want to put the hardware stand in the bottom. Make sure you're watching out for these things so they are falling. Again, your babies. One here. On the bigger card, you should be able to fit everything, but we might have to do a little bit of balancing with this guy. No worries. Man, and this hard shell case is brand new. If you can manage to break the drum set through this, I'll applaud you. I won't do that. Don't break the drum set. Perfect. So we got everything ready here for the drum set. Now we're going to make sure that before we leave, we're changing the combo so it's not visible. And locking this back. Now we're nice and safe. And now you're ready for the day. Or the gig. Okay, let's go set this up. All right, so now we're in the room. We gotta get all these drums out, but the first thing that I would recommend doing is taking care of the hardware. So we're gonna get all these drums off, and we're gonna take a look at what's inside here. So, that's not even, is it even? So, we got all our gear in the room. Good job. But now this is where the real work begins. First thing we have is the rug. The rug is going to be, hopefully, in one of these cute little bags. And you are going to face the rug in the direction that you're going to want to be sitting where you're playing. And I say that because there is, in fact, a stopper here for the kick drum. So you want to make sure that's going the direction you're going to be facing so that you can put the kick drum behind it. While we are here, we might as well fold up the rug so that you don't have to look for that later in the video. We're going to take this out, and then we're going to fold it into 3 little halves. Once you do that, you just roll it up. It's a little bit tricky. It's like putting on a pillowcase. Cinch it up, and it fits right back in the case. I gotta put that back down again. Yeah. Rug's down, and you know how to put it away. Yay. Notably, the rugs should go in here. It should be able to fit in here, even with the seating, with everything else in there. There should be nothing in that locker except the cymbal bag, your drums, and the hardware case. Anything loose is just more liable to be lost. But the first thing, or I guess the second thing now that the rug is down, the 0 with index thing, will be to put the seat down. Putting the seat down is very, very important because I guess in continuing the CS stuff, it allows us to recursively expand the rest of the drum set. In non-nerd speak, sorry. I can say that because I'm one of them. You can sit on it and put the rest of the stuff away. So it's a big thing. It's good to put on top and it's good to take out first because it's just like, you can kind of build it around you and make sure the drum set is comfortable. Ergonomics are really important. Speaking to the drummers. Okay, screw that on. Make sure it's nice and tight around all the time, and it'll be great for your back. Voila. One extra little pro tip it's not the exact right thing for everybody. So don't take my word as gospel on this, but I've heard from a lot of different drummers. You're going to want basically a sort of right angle where your knees hit the ground. I'm not going to BS about reasons. I've seen a bunch of people say that. You should probably do that. Lock in your seat. You'll have a good time playing drums. One more important thing about the seat is that you need to make sure it's on the rug. The purpose of the drum rug is to make sure the drums don't go anywhere. If we didn't need it, we wouldn't use it because it would just be another thing to get lost. Your seat makes contact with the rug, the kick drum is in contact with the rug, and the hi-hat is entirely in contact with the rug so that it doesn't all slide away. If it's sliding away, you set it up incorrectly and should refer to the rest of this video. So good, our drum seat's down. What's the next thing that I think I would recommend putting together? I would say, let's get the cymbal stands out. Important note about the cymbal stands. They can do that, so when you're putting them away, make sure you collapse them all the way down, but we'll talk about that in a second. First though, let's get all the cymbal stands out. The later with these is now. The thing about cymbal stands is that, again, they can kind of telescope outward, so when you're putting them out and together, you put them out like this, and it's fantastic. You can also, if you're trying to get the cymbal in a slightly more unusual place, you can undo these guys and rotate it so the arm can reach out to another place. This one on the side with a little bit of a like see-through portion, just the part that's not directly connected, is what locks this in place back and forth. This guy on the right side locks it in place. So if it's unscrewed, it's gonna come down. So you wanna make sure both of those things are tight, but not too crazy tight, and then you put them wherever you would like them to be on your drum set. And then once you're done, of course, again, you take every part of the cymbal stand and you collapse it down into itself. We're going all together rather than taking all the different parts apart, because then it can get a little bit confusing and the bag can get very disorganized. Just like that, and it's ready for the bin. Don't do that though. I did that so you keep watching and maybe you laughed, haha. Okay. So now we have the most elusive and frankly dangerous of the stands, the hi-hat stand. The hi-hat stand will hopefully come to you in a package that is this and this. Now you can see why it might be a little bit intimidating. But it really isn't all that scary. The thing about the hi-hat stand is that there's a lot of moving parts. Let's start with the one big piece together. But first big thing to note is that you see on the inside here, these little holes. I'll point at them with an arrow of some sort. These are where, and it's the same thing on the kick drum, you are meant to place these rods of the hi-hat stand. That means they're locked in place, they're holding this down, and it's giving you a solid base that you can extend your foot on. Now, once you have that down, you place the legs down, and The thing with the legs is that you don't want to have your hi-hat stand be suspended in the air. You don't want the base of the stand to be wobbling around like this while you're trying to play. Just place the foot on the ground, place the pegs nice and firm, and then squeeze it tight. And your stand will be perfect and solid. Now, so this is the rest of the hi-hat stand. As you can see, it's 3 separate parts, right? We have the rod, which is what you're clipping the clutch onto, and then this is the rest of the hi-hat stand's base. This should be screwed in again so there are less moving parts when you're in transit. It's just less of an issue. And the other part to note is that on the rod, or on the actual part of the stand, there are a lot of moving parts. There is the steel disc, which is supposed to let you adjust the angle that the hi-hat is sitting at. Try not to lose it. And then the felt. The felt is very important. If you lose the felts, you're going to be much more likely to damage the cymbal themselves, because they're not going to be landing on these soft pads when you hit them. So the felts are very, very important. The felts are also very important, notably, and we're going to set this aside for a second, on the actual cymbal stands themselves. The tops of the cymbal stands, and the cymbal stands more broadly, in addition to having a bunch of loose parts, are comprised of multiple different, much smaller parts. You have the plastic cymbal stopper, which is one of the most important pieces of equipment on the drum set. I know it's a tiny, dumb little thing, but this allows your cymbal to ring. If this isn't here, what's gonna happen to your cymbal is you're gonna place it on, and it is going to fall all the way down to the metal. It's going to sound bad. It's gonna make your cymbal sound bad. It has the potential to damage your cymbal. Do your best not to lose these. They're very important. And if you are a drummer, I would recommend you carry some around with you. But always try to make sure that there are at least 2 cymbal felts on the stand, and then try to make sure that you leave this lock on top as well. These, honestly, the top felt and the top lock are not as crucial. Again, please try to keep them with the drum set. But these 2 things, the bottom felt and the bottom, the plastic cymbal stopper, are very, very crucial. Sorry, I was trying something new. So now we have the rod, which is basically extending the little foot pedal and this thing that it attaches to, and the cymbal clutch. So we're going to screw that in, and then after we screw that in, we are going to put the actual stand part back on. So now we have a functioning cymbal stand. The only thing left that we have to do is put some hi-hats on it. So now we're gonna have our 2 different cymbals here. These are provided by the music department. Thank you so much. They are present in the cymbal bag in the locker. One of them is usually going to be labeled, especially on matching pairs, bottom. That one is going to be a little bit heavier, and you're gonna wanna place that one on the bottom. If there isn't a label, or they both say top or whatever, you know, just do your best. Try and guess which one is the heavier one and put it on the bottom. That leaves us with this top cymbal, and that sort of gets us into a brief discussion about clutches, for which I'm going to set this cymbal aside and move over here to talk about clutches. There are going to be 2 different kinds of clutch. The more traditional kind of clutch is one where the bottom simply screws off. You might have to hold this thing in place, especially if they're newer, because the felts wear down over time. But all you have to do is take off the bottom screw and the bottom felt, place the cymbal on top, and then you can screw this right back on. These top screws basically are just around to allow you to adjust how tightly you're clamping onto the cymbal. So you want it to be able to ring a little bit. Don't want it to be super, super tight. Just use your judgment. And then this next type of clutch, which we try to keep present on the music department kits, please don't steal them. It's really mean, and it's happened a lot. And if you do, I want you to think about this moment in the video and me calling you a bad person. Also, walking away with the gear on accident, still not cool. This one is special.
And so are you.
I didn't have to do any of that tedious screwing. It has sort of a push shell action that allows you to just pop off the bottom, take off the bottom felt, place your cymbal on, and then put the bottom felt back on. And rather than screwing this one in, you can just press the bottom, place it on, and go fully, and it's perfect. You might have some issues with these ones on the occasion where these are screwed too far down the shaft of the rod, where you can try to push it in and it won't get to the point where it'll lock unless you really, really force it, or maybe not at all if you go a little bit further. This is not ideal, and the fix to that is really to sort of just screw this down a little bit more. So nothing crazy, just enough until you have room, and you're right back. So now we are going to use the Gibraltar one, which is the one with the pull clutch. We're going to take the bottom off, take the bottom felt off, and we are going to place it through the top here. Felt on the bottom, again, to protect from the metal. Sheath that, put it on here. Voila. Now you got yourself a hi-hat. You just gotta squeeze that tight. Whoa! And the audio is probably peaking. I've lost my hearing from years of playing this instrument, so I'm truly fine. If you're playing really loud stuff. And I figure while we're talking about it, we might as well talk about just generally, again, putting cymbals on stands. Here we have a beautiful Caro. This is not a cheap ride. This is a really, really nice piece of equipment that the music department is providing for us. So we should treat it well. Let's unscrew the top, place the cymbal here, replace the bottom felt, replace the top felt and place the screw back on to hold everything in place. The other really crucial part about this, again, is, let me just demonstrate. If we take the plastic cymbal stopper off, we're placing it right on the metal. And that is basically a cardinal sin of drums. You never want that metal contact. Ooh. So, perfect, great job. I'm gonna go ahead and put the rest of the cymbals on their stands from the bag because I'm there anyways. Yeah. And with that, that's basically everything we can do without getting the drums out. So now, let's talk about the elephant. The elephant in the room. The drums, which we will first start by getting out of their cases. So as you can see, we got all of our beautiful drums out, but now we have all of these the drum cases. Oh God, what do I do? It's so messy in here. What am I gonna, they're never gonna call me to gig again. That's where you're wrong. That's where you're wrong. I'm gonna show you a little trick. Doctors hate me, and with this one simple trick, you can put all of your drum cases away in a single drum case. The very one I'm sitting in right now. Unless you're using the other drum set, then it might be a soft shell. I don't know. It could be a completely different drum set. I don't know when you're watching this. Comment below when you're watching this, and I don't know, something you want me to hear, because this will probably live on my personal YouTube channel. Thank you. Watch my guitar videos. Now. Wow, look at that accidental, insane shot composition. It's one straight line, although I didn't even plan that. I didn't even place those like that. Crazy. So, our pro tip is, well, I mean, it's probably pretty self-explanatory, but you just put the drum cases inside of each other. And then, again, recursively, the snare case goes into the rack tom case, goes into the floor tom case, goes into the big tom case, and I don't know, you can even put the rug in there for the time being if you want no loose stuff. And you just slap it on. And then, that's all of your drums. Out of sight and out of mind. So the hardware box is almost empty. All of the things that we have left are pertaining pretty much to the drums themselves, no longer cymbal stuff. Within that we have the kick pedal, the snare stand, the legs for the floor tom, of which there are 3, the mount for the rack tom. So we're gonna show you how to use all 3 or 4 of these things. We're gonna do that, but also another thing that we're gonna do, because now that we have everything that we need, is we're gonna get our boxes out of the way and make sure everything looks nice and neat. And as you can see, we are tucked away. All of our gear is nice and neat over here, and everything else is over here ready for us to play some jazz. Oh, yeah. You'll be that swinging if you put your gear away. So, now that we've gotten through all of the cymbals and they're all ready to put in the right place, we're gonna go through each of the drums from biggest to smallest. So, we're gonna start with the big bass drum. The big thing about the bass drum is the legs. You always want to make sure that you're putting the legs out so that they can keep the drum from going forward. If you remember what I said earlier, you can also hear the snare buzzing. If you remember what I said earlier, the whole point of this little block on the front of the rug is to keep the drum from moving forward, but the legs are also very important for that as well. As we can see, the legs are down to the front, facing forward from the drum set. The kick drum is behind the block. That means that no matter what you're playing, no matter how hard you're beating that thing, which honestly shouldn't be that hard, and especially in a jazz context, you will be golden. So now we're going to move on to the kick pedal. The kick pedal, again, as I was pointing out with the hi-hat, has these little wiry bits, and you're going to unscrew this bottom portion here so that the clamp will open up, and then you're going to place it on the kick drum itself and tighten that bad boy. Not just sitting in front of it, you're going to place it on the kick drum itself so that it has a solid surface, and then you're ready to go. A little bit of jingle bells there for you Jingle Bells fans. Important thing to note about the kick pedal is that it is spring operated. There's this little spring down here, and because I'm putting timestamps in this video, sorry man, I gotta go through everything. The spring operated aspect of the kick pedal is what makes it go. So sometimes, especially with these, because there should be a little stopper on there that I can't really find because things get lost again on communal kits. Over time, as you're drumming, this little spring will get looser and 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 looser, but eventually you might get to the point where it comes off completely. Usually when you're playing, that will fly loose and you're gonna lose all responsiveness with your kick drum. In addition to that, another thing that could go potentially wrong is that this little gear might slip off. So the kick drum is a very fragile beast, and you must be very careful to make sure, especially if you're going before a gig, you know, if something happens during rehearsal, it's not the biggest issue, but before a gig, making sure that everything is all screwed up nice and tight so that you're ready to go and that you won't be embarrassed if in the middle of your song you're unable to play your kick drum again suddenly. Now we're going to move on to the floor tom. The floor tom, probably my favorite tom, comes with 3 little legs, and the way that you can go about setting them up, and the easiest way that I would recommend you do this, is to take the drum as it is right now. Currently it's right side up, you can tell because the badge on the side has the letters, well, facing right side up. You can read Yamaha right here. Also, usually for these kits, especially in jazz context, you'll have the coated head on the top and the clear head on the bottom. You want to make sure that you're always hitting the batter head, is what the top head is called, the one that you hit, because the bottom head is made exclusively to resonate. So if you end up hitting that thing, it's going to damage the sound a little bit, and also just, you know, it won't last as long. So make sure you're always hitting the batter head. And the way that we're going to set this up is we're going to use these little mounts on the side here. We're going to turn the drum upside down, and then just one by one, we're going to insert them in. So we are ready to chuck it on the right side of the kit, right over here. Or left side if you're a lefty, but just if you're a lefty, swap it all.
Mirrored across the y-axis. Oh, man.
We're going to mount the rack tom as well. The rack tom, it uses this thing and it goes right in the little center of the kick drum here. I would recommend putting this on first, as I'm going to do now. Oh! Nah. There's no way he put it there. He didn't move, and it was so seamless how he didn't move. Thank you. Well, we'll show you how we chuck it on. And now we are going to slide on the rack tom until we want to go as far as we can so that it's really sturdy. And then screw this thing tight. And now we have, well, all of our, I guess, non-snare implements together. And these guys. So, let's get the snare stand together. So the important thing about the snare stand, and I guess about the snare, you know what? Snare side chat. Really quick, you over here. The snare, one of the more particular or interesting drums, mostly because this top head, same as the other one, has a batter head, regular batter head, and the bottom head, the reso head is very thin, very delicate, and it has these snare wires on it. And that is what gives the snare its particular, it's got that bite to it, where if you disengage the snare like this, it just sort of becomes a regular drum. This is a really, really useful thing to do, not only to give more texture to your music, you can swap between snare on and snare off, but also if you're not playing, you should be really, really careful of whether or not the snare is on or the snare is off, because if your bass player and your pianist and a vocalist are doing some really, really slow thing, and in the background they just hear, you're distracting people from the music. The snare is what gets you, and don't forget to turn it back on. Usually if I turn it off for a song in any capacity, I will keep my hand on it so that I don't forget to turn it on, because man, when you try to go into a groove and the snare is off and you're going, just it's embarrassing. So be careful, okay? Now, the snare stand itself is really nothing special. There's really only one rule that you have to follow with it. Same as the other cymbal stands, make sure you're not going all the way down. Just give it a nice solid triangular base. Place it down, and then I like to have the bottom facing me so that if you have to adjust the angle at any point, you can kind of just put a foot down and move it. And then we're going to make sure that the rubber corners are the only thing that are in contact with our snare. As we're going to set it down, we just make sure that it's being held on all sides. Contact here, contact here, contact here. No contact with any of the metal. Now, on some snare stands, if your snare is small enough, or if Yamaha didn't design it apparently, if you go far enough down, what can actually happen is that the bottom wires on the snare can make contact with the center portion, and it can impact how your drum will sound, or just completely mute everything. But as you can see, when we turn the snare wires off, it's so close that it's making contact. So you should be holding the snare, not insanely tight, but enough where it's nice and packed. And then you want to double check, screw in all these things to make sure everything is nice and tight.
But not too tight.
Voila, your snare is set up. Beautiful. Now, your drums should be set up in perfect order, with everything sounding exactly the way you want it to. Now, we're gonna want a couple extra sonic textures to put in there. Like so. So, this is a good setup ergonomically for me. I also have, if you've noticed here, I used the boom arm to get my cymbal a little bit more over into this empty space. Drums are all about ergonomics. If you've ever played a long show, you know it can be tiring. You just want to make sure everything is as easy to reach as possible. So the drum set, I think right now, is actually looking pretty good. But I'm not actually going to play it. Because we have even more gear to set up. Oh! across you bear as a musician. Come on, let's go. The thing about all of the other stuff that I told you is you don't have to do it in that order. I just thought it was a logical order to explain it. You'll be able to see it while I'm setting up the other drum set. I usually do drums first when I'm setting up and then all the cymbal stands. Always seat first, so you have something to sit and build your kit around. But when you're taking the drum set down, I usually start with all the cymbals, make sure those are all away, get all of the hardware set away, and then do drums last. I go drums out first, then hardware, and then cymbals. When I'm putting it away, we do the exact opposite. We go cymbals, then hardware, then drums. I'm gonna show you a little time lapse of me putting everything away, and then we're gonna wheel it over and put it back in the locker where it came from. And just as a reminder about the clutch, never too many reminders, but pull up and off, out through the hi-hat. Let me check it right back on. Let me keep going. Onto the hardware. Found the extra screw for the kick drum. We chuck this on the bottom and it helps secure it to make sure that the kick drum or the kick pedal sort of combusting while you're on your gig is a little bit less likely. We want to screw that up nice and tight so it's creating a little bit of friction and hold with the other one. That's going to make it a little bit more secure. Oh, that's the other thing, is that when you're putting it away, probably collapse it like this again, just so it can fit a little bit easier in the case. We do have a lot of stuff to put in there. And again, just making sure everything is completely collapsed, and I can go like this and nothing falls apart or falls out, so that I don't accidentally injure the person who's using this drum set next. Sure that when we put the boom arm away, we're rotating it back in to protect the cymbal stand and all of the hardware, because we care about treating communal equipment properly. Voila! And again, as we're taking the hi-hat stand apart, we have the clutch, the other part of the stand that I don't know what to call it, and the rod, which we are going to screw off. We're going to place this in the case, and then we are going to take the rod onto which we are going to place the clutch. We're going to screw that tight so that it doesn't move around. And then we're going to slide that into this extra part of the hi-hat stand, which will not only keep all of this together, but will also trap these and keep them from flying off in the case, and just make it a lot easier to put the hi-hat stand together for the next person. Again, put the gear away like you're the next person who's going to use it, because it's just going to make everything a lot easier for everybody else. And again, communal equipment. Treat this stuff right. You don't want to haul your own drum set to campus, I promise. Let's go. So we're gonna swap all this gear back into here, because we got this drum set, the red drum set from this part, or whatever drum set lives in here, will be on this side. Make sure you again check the QR code information on the inside, and whatever documentation, it will be updated. We're gonna get this out of here, or get this into here first. And don't tear your shirt on this. I've torn many shirts on this. And now, we're gonna get the drum set in this store locker here, 130. And we're gonna put in the run. And we're back at it. Okay, so I am going to unpack this drum set more the way that I would unpack it for efficiency reasons, just because the last one was more instructional. And I'm gonna point out a couple of different things, because this drum set's a little bit older and has maybe been a little bit more neglected, and is maybe currently missing some gear. Whoa! So I'll point those out as we go along. No bag for this rug. Not the biggest deal, but you know, tiny stuff. Seat, all the way down. Now we're doing drums first after getting the seat down, like I was saying earlier, just because it'll be able to get us our bearings around us, and then we'll be able to snake the cymbals into the little nooks and crannies after the drums are where they need to be. Because the cymbals, you can get the boom arm out, do whatever to put them where you want, but getting the drum set up nice and ergonomic is really important. Hold on, I have to replace this kick drum hoop. See, this is why we treat our gear. This is what it's supposed to look like. Notably, a circle that isn't broken. This one, broken. Be nice to your gear, especially because it's probably not yours. Whoa! Oh! So the legs on the bass drum are kind of not really doing a lot of work right now, so I'm gonna bump them up just a little bit using one of the handy dandy drum keys that everybody should have, including non-drummers, just because I'm gonna adjust the legs a little bit so that they're coming out a little bit more and they can support the, they can keep the drum from moving a little bit more. But man, the little blocker, that thing ain't going anywhere. Slightly different connector on this guy, but same thing, just slide it on, lock it in, and you're good to go. Another example of maybe older and missing gear. There's no screw on this one to screw in. There unfortunately was at one point, it is now gone, but for now you just kind of have to align this little extra screw here, which is going to lock into the bass and sort of keep the tom from swinging around the whole time. Mom's your uncle. Bob's your, mom's your uncle. Trying to do this thing right now. I grabbed it up here and, oh, I tightened it by holding it, but it went like that. Not cool, not cool. Tighten the things. Slightly different pedal here, like I was talking about earlier. This is all part of the same assembly that is coming a little bit loose. I could probably tighten that with the drum key. Let's take a look here. And as we can see, it looks like that did the trick. And this thing is sitting much less shooka-y. But yes, this is a big plate, but the same principle applies. Undo the thing, so it's clamping on the rim of the bass drum, and then squeeze it. Not so crazy hard that you break it, but squeeze it so it's secure. Slightly different attachment mechanism here. The SJO drum set has this too, so I've gotten a bit used to it. But yeah, check that thing right there. Another really important thing about this stand for this hardware, make sure that you fully expand this guy and then tighten him, or else it's gonna keep pushing back up and this is not gonna be solid. Also, you need to make sure that you tighten this guy, because if you don't tighten this guy, the whole thing is just gonna be, this is one solid piece now, and if either of these are loose, it's just a nightmare to play. So make sure you're tightening it. Generally, tighten your gear. This is what happens when the clutch does not live with the hi-hat stand, because currently, hi-hat stand does not have the clutch, and I'm willing to bet inside this top compartment, no clutch, inside this middle compartment, no clutch, nothing on the bottom, nothing in between any of the cymbals. Felt, but more last year. And no steel disc, which again, like I said earlier, is not the most crucial thing, but they put things on this equipment for a reason. I'm putting some duct tape on the drum set on a part that moves. Don't do that. I'm gonna do that. You don't do that. An addendum to the previous instructions on the hi-hats. I will see from a lot of people that is not how you set up a cymbal stand. And actually, it makes it very likely that they will fall. Again, make sure the feet are flat or flattish, you know, somewhere in this range, a good nice triangle, and then that is when you want to tighten them. Don't go all the way down, don't go only at a little bit, just get a good solid base, you know, something you could kind of like, you know, I did step on it, but don't do that. This is all for demonstration, and again, retention. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. And this guy, long lost. We're lucky we still have the bottom one. Keep the tops on, kids. Cymbals. I think that this is a good time to demonstrate my secret drummer life hack, which is bring in your own gear. Come on. Oh, I'll do this. I gotta press the button. The second floor of Braun at night with the personal lockers. You can get these lockers for like 30 bucks for the whole year, and I keep my drum equipment in here. So we're gonna grab this really quick and then get right back to it. Press the button this time. So now we're going to demonstrate a segment that I would like to call things that are handy for drummers to have. First one I'm going to say is hi-hat clutch. As you remember earlier, we did not have a hi-hat clutch because somebody was careless, and that's really frustrating. Having your own smaller gear items like this, like a hi-hat clutch, which is very crucial. Again, I would always say, like I said earlier, having some plastic cymbal stoppers or cymbal holders and some felts really will just make sure any gig you go to with any drum set, you can make it at least functional.
Seriously, editing gunner here, just get them. If you care about this enough to make it like an actual hobby or a marketable skill that you would like, just spend 30 bucks on a clutch and some cymbal felts, especially the cymbal felts. I cannot tell you how many times I've saved my own butt on gigs, or even saved other people's butts on gigs, because I've showed up with some cymbal sleeves in my backpacks to like on-campus festivals that I've gone to, and the drum set sucks, and then you put a single thing that costs probably 3 cents to make on the cymbal stand, and everything sounds so much better. So get them, just get it. It will be so worth it. Now you go back to him.
So we're going to take that and we're going to set up some of what I would recommend in another sense, but that is slightly harder to achieve, is bringing your own cymbals. Having a hi-hat clutch in your backpack, really, really easy way to make sure that you're ready for the gig. Having your own cymbals on campus and storage really, really can help you. Not to say that the cymbals are bad or anything, but if you can search for the sound that you specifically want out of the instrument, and then get some cymbals where you know that they're going to make the sound that you want in the context that you would like them to, and you know how to use them, really, really worthwhile purchase. Some other little trinky dinkets. Little things to throw on your drums. This is also a little silly bungee cord strap device called drum geese, which I got because I was chronically online in middle school and followed a lot of drum Instagram creators. So, I have a lot of little trinkets. So these things really, really useful. You put them on the snare and you go from to get sort of a ha. Will work on any drum. If the floor tom sounds really bad, like that, you can at least, if you don't want to tune it, make it sound like fine. Another thing that you can use to make sure any floor tom that you're using sounds okay is a drum key. You can buy these in packs of like 3 for like $5. You know, you shouldn't give your money to Amazon. And you will be the savior of every gig you ever go to and every practice you ever go to, because man, you know what? let's actually see if that does sound as bad as I think it does. I'm sure Daniel Valdez is gonna watch this and go, oh, those drums are tuned so bad. Maybe they are, Daniel. Marching boy. What else do we need? Seats, really nice to have little textural things, but again, if this is your first quarter playing jazz combos, totally fine. Some sizzles. Sizzles, really nice. Helps you get a lot more texture and fill some more space on those tunes like ballads that might be a little bit trickier to handle and a little bit trickier to fill space on. So. Really great cymbal, but with the addition of this, get so much color and texture out of that. Really nice. So that's about all I'd recommend for personal gear for drummers. Make sure you have a couple pairs of sticks, definitely, and some brushes. Very useful. I would recommend the Steve Gads. I don't know what these are, but I found them and they work. See, dear video viewer, this is why you got to make sure everything's tightened in on the kit. You crank that thing tight with a handy dandy drum key, which every drummer should have. Okay, so we're gonna rip a lightning round of some of the most useful things I think you can buy as a drummer to kind of help you really just make sure you're prepared for any gig and can make any drum set sound good. Number one, drum keys. If a drum set sounds really mid or even diabolically bad, just a little bit of time and care, even if you have no idea what you're doing, can make them sound quite a little bit better. I will leave drum tuning for other videos. Look them up. Clutch, because you can get this exact hi-hat clutch for like 20 bucks on Amazon or at your local music dealer probably. Just some sort of little towel that you can use to do some muting. If I had to give you a recommended trifecta, it would be hi-hat, clutch, sizzle, and this guy. More crucial equipment that you will probably need are brushes and sticks. Just find a good pair that suits you on the lighter end for jazz. Probably what I'd recommend if you're a beginner. Mallets are also nice, but very extra. Having some little seeds or shells can be very texturally nice. You can chuck them on your hi-hat rod and get more of a choppy sound rather than a straight clean chop. You can also use them for a little bit of texture on the floor tom. Two really big ones that are really nice to have, but also, you know, kind of unnecessary and hard to manage are your own cymbals, and you might have noticed, but also your own snare. The snare I acquired through Daniel Valdez. Thank you, Daniel. My goat, he also does all of the equipment stuff at the time of making this video. Thank you, Daniel, and thank you, Jim, memorialized. My goats. But yeah, all these things together are going to give you a really ripping sound. So maybe not all at once. These are very particular. We got the drum set all nice and set up the way we want it and in a way that feels good and with all of the gear. Let's pack up the rest of the stuff so that it looks a little nice and neat and it's not disheveled, which again is optional when you're practicing, but is really crucial when you're gigging because it makes everything look really nice. But let's get this set up and then we can grab an amp and figure that kind of stuff out. Ooh. Nice. Now we're gonna go get some amps. What? Oh no! No, it's fine. I got you though. I bet you're really worried. Well, So that's that. And the piano's right here, so don't really need to set that up, huh? So I guess we have electronics left, which hopefully won't take long. But let's go take a look. Let's go ahead and take the Gen Stands. And you know what? Even though I don't have an electric guitar in me, let's go ahead and take the electric guitar in, just so we can talk about it here. And as always, we have the QR code on the inside that lists all the equipment. And again, if there's anything that's broken, you should report it here. But yes. Yippee. Oh, okay, let's go. Oh, the Gen Stands is still over here. Oh, no, I'm picking up about that and I'm moving it the whole way. Oh, the cable. Now we will discuss the amps. The amps require electricity. You may now use the amps. I will now show you how to use the amps. You should plug in the 1/4-inch cable before you turn the amp on, or else it'll make a lot of really bad noises that are really loud and scary. Also, the switch for the amps to turn on it is usually on the back. So now we're fully free to jazz out. There is also the guitar amp, which may be powered on. Warms up the tubes or something, I don't know. How do tubes make noise? Not what this video is for. But they aren't making noise right now because we have to also flip on the standby switch. And voila! Drench that thing in reverb. Ooh, speed. Don't know what that means. Intensity. Ooh, you know what? I think there's a whammy or something in one of the things in here, but again, not my area of expertise. Get the amps out, plug them in, they'll make a sound probably. And then you can do something like this. This lovely bass is also here courtesy of Archish. Say hi, Archish. Play a silly little lick for us. Oh! So good. Love that guy. Cable wrap. So we're going to teach you, I've seen it called the Roadie wrap. It's basically a way that you can wrap your cables where you guarantee that they're not going to go anywhere. And the first step is very familiar. You kind of just make a little loop, right? And the next step after that, the easiest way that I find to do it is rather than grabbing here and making another loop just the same way that you did, you kind of grab it underhand here. So rather than like this, up and around, you're grabbing like this and you're bringing it up and around in a way, but you're tucking it underneath. You can find probably many more better instructional videos on YouTube about this, but really it's just one time you go around, stacking on top, and the next time you go in, like grab, twist, and then it's in. And then you keep going and you say, okay, well, let's do this guy, right? And then let's grab and twist here and do this guy. And let's see this guy. Grab and twist here and do this guy. And do this guy. And then voila, you have a perfectly wrapped cable. Now, some of you might be saying, Gunner, why do you have to fold it that fancy way so that when you throw it out, it goes all nice and straight? Well, why can't we just, do it the regular way, where we go over and over.
And over and over.
Well, dear viewer, thank you for asking. One of the reasons I would say is that as you're coiling it over and over and over, going the same way the whole time, it's kind of slowly and covertly and sinisterly turning and turning and turning. So if you leave this like this for a while, it will get super twisted up. The other thing is that, and it's kind of hard to demonstrate right now because I'm just holding it in my hand, but you chuck this in a bin, you chuck it in your bag for transit, among other things. It's gonna end up getting knotted and cabled. The other way is kind of designed explicitly and topologically. I was right, it was topology. That took me an embarrassing amount of time to Google. Let's see if this is coiled up enough in the meantime. Well, again, as you can see, it came out pretty straight right now, but using the over-under technique is really the standard and the go-to in the music world, whether it's for production or whether it's playing or any number of things. When I have my iPhone charger in my bag, I've just kind of taken to hitting the over-under a little bit more naturally because, man, it really does kind of keep things nice and straight. And I got the Velcros. You know I'm not slipping. I might be slipping a little bit, but anyways, it's kind of it. Except one last final really important thing. When you're pulling a cable out of its socket, under no circumstances should you be pulling from anything this far back. I see you, I know it looks fun to do that, but make sure you're right near the base and you're really secure when you're pulling it out, because there are some horror stories, not only for how it can impact the jack on the amps, where one of the amps that we actually had to get serviced and fixed because somebody pulled on it improperly and the thing fell through and it messed it up. But also it saves the cables from tearing or yanking or doing any sort of thing to mistreat them. So nice little addition at the end, something that I was told to emphasize. Haha. Drummer brain, I didn't know any of that stuff. Well, now that we got everything out and I showed you how to use most of it, you gotta put it away, which sucks, but you know, I'll be a little bit quicker this time. I won't stop and tell you so many things. Got my noodles out. I have a pro tip for you. If you ever have one of these guys that's stuck real tight, you can take 2 sticks like this, put them on either side, and then you can kind of just use them as a fulcrum, or I don't know if it's a fulcrum, but you can use them to get leverage. And you can get some pretty tight things undone pretty easily by just using a little bit of physics. I don't know if I ever pointed this out, but the hardware for the drum kit in the right side, unless it's updated, will have the white duct tape on it. The hardware for the drum set on the left side will have the red duct tape on it. So that's how you're going to differentiate between whether or not one piece of gear came from one place or the other. Look for the tape. The other thing is when you're transporting the amps, any equipment, unplug everything. Unplug the cables, the 1/4-inch cables that plug into your instruments. Unplug the power cables. Just make sure there's no way that you could like accidentally bump into a wall, break something that wouldn't have been broken if it wasn't plugged in. You can get it all if you really, or get it all in one if you really need to, but hopefully you're not Nate Wood and you're playing with more than one person in your combo. Google Nate Wood. Looks like this one's good, this one's good, this one's good, this one's good. Everything is locked. So now we're almost done. Behind the magic of production. Let's get this place back in order. Double check really quickly on the door. We see tables in the center, all the stands are over there, looking good. Boards are empty, should probably take care of that. I think that's about it. Transition. Did you give this tutorial a watch? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I make a tutorial for next? Hit the like if you like, please subscribe, and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up, or the link to subscribe to the channel. Jim Nadell and Stanford Jazz Compos forever.